The year is 2017. Most people, if they saw a phone number on their caller ID that began with a 555 prefix, they'd immediately think one thing: spam. Because 555 has been the standard Hollywood placeholder for fake numbers since the dawn of cinema. But what if the number wasn't a fake? What if it was real, but it had been dead for decades? Our story today revolves around a man named Ethan Vance. Ethan wasn't some amateur investigator or tech genius. He was an ordinary guy, a graphic designer from Portland, Oregon. One night, around 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, annoyed, and saw a number he'd never seen. He was about to silence it when something snagged his attention. The number wasn't a modern mobile or a VoIP line. It was an old, landline-style number. But beneath the number, his phone displayed a chilling piece of data pulled from some deep web reverse directory he'd used years ago. The information box read, and I quote, 555-0199, disconnected since January 14th, 1999. The first call, an unfamiliar familiarity. Ethan had that ice-cold prickling sensation on his neck. A number that has been physically disconnected for 18 years is calling his cell phone in the middle of the night. Curiosity, as it always does in these stories, won out over common sense. He answered, "Hello? Who is this?" "Please, I'm trapped. I don't know where I am." The voice was male. It was strained, terrified, and distant, like he was speaking through thick cotton. Ethan froze. This wasn't a prank call. The raw, guttural fear was too real. "Trapped? Trapped where? Sir, I think you have the wrong number." No, I found it. I found the number. Ethan." He used Ethan's name. Not just Ethan, but it was how he said it, with a certain familiar cadence, like a relative or a childhood friend. Ethan felt a sudden, profound shift in the air, like the temperature in the room had dropped 10 degrees. "Who is this? How do you know my name?" The hairs on Ethan's arms were standing straight up. He checked his call log. Duration, 18 seconds. He tried calling the number back. "We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service, just as it should have been since 1999. The revelation, the brother's voice. For the next 2 days, Ethan couldn't shake it. He kept running the voice through his head. The desperate tone, the faint underlying crackle of a familiar lisp. Ethan had one older brother, Michael. Michael was an adrenaline junkie, a promising young rock climber, and Michael had died tragically in a hiking accident on Mount Hood back in 1999. The more he thought, the more the pieces locked into place with a terrifying, agonizing click. That lisp, the way he stretched the vowel in Ethan, it was Michael's voice. But that was impossible. Michael's body had been recovered. The funeral had been held. It was 18 years ago. Then the phone rang again. Same number, 555-0199. "Michael, is that you? Where are you?" They know I have the phone. I can't move my legs, Ethan. It's cold. The smell of rot. The smell of decay. This wasn't just a phone call. This was a man, his brother, experiencing a nightmare. Ethan's face was wet with tears, his fear now mixed with a surge of agonizing hope and confusion. "Michael, listen to me. What is the last thing you remember? The last place you were?" The cabin on the lower trail near the lookout. The storm. I fell. "Ethan, you have to tell Mom. I hid the key." A crashing yelp end call. This was no longer a mystery. It was a mission. Michael's last words, the lower trail cabin and a key, were an 18-year-old clue delivered across a dead line. Ethan didn't tell his mother. He couldn't risk reigniting her trauma with an insane, non-existent phone call. Instead, he drove 6 hours to Mount Hood. He found the abandoned lower trail cabin. It was exactly as Michael described, decaying, isolated, and smelled distinctly of mildew and, yes, a kind of biological rot from wet leaves and stagnant water. He searched for hours, fueled by desperation, until he remembered Michael's obsession with hiding things near the fireplace mantel. He ran his hand under the loose stone corner, and his fingers closed around something small, cold and metallic. It was a skeleton key, and it was covered in a dried reddish-brown residue. He wiped it on his sleeve, his stomach churning, and looked around the desolate cabin. Where would this lead? He noticed a small, old hatch tucked beneath a stack of firewood in the corner. He wedged the skeleton key into the lock. It clicked open. The twist, the grave, and the phone. Ethan lifted the hatch. Below was not a cellar, but a small, cramped dirt hole, a kind of shallow, hidden storage area. He shined his phone light down, and that's when he saw it. Lying amongst the loose, overturned dirt and a tattered, heavy-duty tarp was Michael's original 1999 Nokia 5110. It was completely encased in dried mud, and right beside it was something worse. A bone. Not just a bone, a human tibia sticking out of the dirt, still partially clad in the tattered remains of a hiking boot. The phone call, the lisp, the mention of cold, rot, and not being able to move his legs. Michael hadn't died in a fall and been recovered. Michael had fallen and been buried, alive, or slowly dying, right beneath this cabin. The body they recovered in 1999? It was a terrible, tragic misidentification that the remote coroner's office had covered up. But how was the phone calling? Ethan slowly picked up the Nokia, now coated in the same reddish-brown dirt that was on the key. He looked at the battery slot, but the back was sealed shut with years of sediment. And then he remembered the residue on the key. It wasn't dried mud. It wasn't rust. It was dried blood. The chilling climax, the truth of the call. Ethan realized the horrifying truth. The phone wasn't calling from 2017. The phone was calling from 1999. When Michael fell, he was injured. He crawled, used his key to open the hatch, and took refuge there. He was trapped. He managed to get one last desperate signal, the 18-second window of the first call, before he lost battery or signal completely. The call he made was to the future, a ripple of desperate energy crossing the years of the dead line. Ethan had found Michael's secret grave. He had uncovered a decades-old police cover-up, and he did it all because a number that had been disconnected since 1999 somehow managed to ring his phone, begging him to finally dig up the truth. Was it a ghost, a temporal anomaly, or simply a desperate, final, 18-year-long reach for help? I'll let you decide. But next time your phone rings at 3 a.m. from a number you don't recognize, maybe check the date it was disconnected.